Welcome back to Football Daily, where today we bring you our top 10 worst football teams in history. 10. Sunderland. Sunderland are famous for being a rubbish Premier League side, but their 2002 to 2003 team was particularly shabby to say the least. Having just escaped relegation the season before, the Black Cats broke their club transfer record on deadline day to bring in Tor Andre Flo to bolster their attack. But as you may have guessed, it didn't work. Peter Reid, in his 8th year at the club, was sacked after just 9 games. And surprise, surprise, things did not get any better for the Wearside club. In fact, they got much worse. With 18 points on the board at Christmas, Sunderland only won one more game for the remainder of the season. And following a 0-0 draw at home to Blackburn, they went on a 15-game losing run. In that time, they scored an embarrassing 6 goals and hired their 3rd manager of the season. Kevin Phillips, who only 3 years earlier had finished the season with 30 league goals and the European Golden Shoe Award, could only manage a paltry 6 goals in 32 appearances. And the Black Cats finished the season glued to the bottom of the Prem on 19 points. 9. Sporting Gijon. Pipping Sunderland in the disaster stakes are Sporting Gijon, who set not one but 2 Spanish football records back in 1998. The Asturias side enjoyed a period of success in the 1970s and 80s, finishing runners-up in La Liga, beating Arrigo Sacchi's AC Milan, and even smashing Barcelona 4-0 at the Nou Camp, a feat which has been rarely replicated since. But Gijon fell from grace in the 90s, and they did it in some style. Dogged with financial problems, the club battled relegation for a number of seasons before finally going down in 1998. But the manner in which they got relegated, after 21 consecutive seasons in the top flight, was beyond appalling. Gijon set the record for the lowest points tally in modern La Liga history, with a meagre 13 points from 38 games. They also managed only 2 wins all season and had to wait until February for their first, ending a winless run of 24 games, which remains the longest ever of any side in the division. Sickening. 8. Derby County. Now, if you thought that was bad, just take a look at Derby County in 2008. After beating Newcastle 1-0 in their 6th Premier League game, the Rams did not win another match all season and went on to lose 25 of the remaining 32 games. Absolutely shocking. In that time, they replaced manager Billy Davis with Paul Jewell, who could unfortunately not work his magic. Instead, he bought a 33-year-old Robbie Savage and instantly promoted him to club captain, which, as you can imagine, did not work out very well. They finished the Premier League season with a record low of 11 points, a whopping 24 points off 19th placed Birmingham City. Utterly humiliating. If that wasn't bad enough, their winless run in the league went on for 362 days. That's just 3 days short of a year. And they finally broke it with a 2-1 victory over Sheffield United after they had dropped to the Championship. This also meant that Paul Jewell took an astronomical 10 months to record his first league victory as manager. Clearly not the master tactician the Derby board thought him to be. What could they expect though? With Robbie Savage as captain and Butterfingers Roy Carroll in goal, it was surely inevitable. 7. Longford AFC. Now we go all the way down the pyramid to Longford AFC, whose atrocious 2015-16 season went down in English football folklore. Having lost their entire squad and manager in the summer, they started their campaign in the Gloucestershire Northern Senior 2nd Division, playing their reserves. By halfway through the season, their poorer-than-poor form was getting talked about in the national news, as they had a total of 0 points and had shipped a horrendous 170 goals. Unbelievable. With the team so used to losing by double figures, results like 5-0 had Longford players jumping for joy, and they were quickly dubbed the worst team in England. Things then took an absurd turn as England legend Stuart Pearce offered his services to the club as a player at the age of 53. Blimey. The former World Cup semi-finalist had to wait over a month to make his debut, mainly due to waterlogged pitches at Longford Village Hall. But when he did appear, the team lost just 1-0 to Watton Rovers. What a result. The man known as Psycho could not inspire the great escape Longford needed though, and they finished the season with 30 losses out of 30 and a goal difference of -216. 6. MKE Ankara Gücü. Over to Turkey now, and another atrocious league record to feast your eyes on. MKE Ankara Gücü, from the country's capital Ankara, have not always been awful, and even made it into the UEFA Cup in the early 2000s. But the club sank into financial meltdown over the course of the decade, meaning their team floundered on the pitch and lost key players. And after years of mid-table security in the Turkish Super League, they had a woeful 2011-12 campaign, finishing bottom with a pathetic 11 points. Not only that, but out of the 34 games Ankara Gücü played, they lost a total of 27. Absolutely harrowing. If that wasn't bad enough, they got relegated again the next season, having to ply their trade in the third tier of Turkish football. What a shocker. 5. Kerber FC. From dreadful points tallies to one disastrous scoreline, Nigerian outfit Kerber FC managed to disgrace themselves in just 90 minutes when they came up against Plateau United feeders on the final day of the season in 2013. Kerber lost the game 79-0. And to take the piss even more, 72 of those goals were conceded in the second half, at a rate of a goal every 37 seconds. With a scoreline that ludicrous, the Nigerian Football Federation came sniffing and banned both clubs for 10 years on suspicion of match fixing. 10 years. Fellow Nigerian club Babayaro FC also got caught up in the scandal after losing 67-0 to the brilliantly named Police Machine on the same day. And in the aftermath, they were disowned and disbanded by the club's owner, Shaibu Gara Ahmed Gombe, who was too ashamed to let the club carry on. How Kerber did not meet the same fate is beyond us. 4. SO Lemmy Erna. But no scoreline is as damning as that bestowed upon Madagascan club SO Lemmy Erna in 2002. SO Lemmy Erna, from the country's capital city of Antananarivo, had actually won the national championship in 2001, but when they came up against local rivals AS Adema in a crucial playoff tie just 2 seasons later, they somehow lost 149-0. Yes, you heard that correctly. 149. Unlike most football drubbings though, this was entirely the work of Lemmy Erna. They scored own goal after own goal after own goal, leaving the opposition bemused and fans demanding a refund on their tickets. The club were in fact protesting against refereeing decisions in their previous games, which they deemed to have cost them the title. The Malagasy Football Federation rightly banned Lemmy Erna's coach Zakabe for 3 years, and also banned 4 players, including Madagascar's national team captain, for the rest of the season. What a bloody disgrace. 3. American Samoa. Next we head to the international stage and a team who have made a tradition of embarrassing themselves on it. American Samoa made the headlines worldwide in 2001 as they went down 31-0 in a World Cup qualifier against Australia. The Socceroos left out numerous key players but still ran riot, and 21 of their goals were shared by their 2 forwards, Archie Thompson and David Zadilic. Ridiculous. Amazingly, Australian keeper Michael Petkovic did not get a touch of the ball until the 86th minute. With that result, the whipping boys of world football cemented their place at the bottom of FIFA's world rankings, but they would redeem themselves 10 years later as they beat fellow minnows Tonga 2-1 in 2011. It ended a staggering run of 30 defeats for the Pacific Islanders, which ran for 17 years. Bloody hell. The run was so horrendous that a whole documentary completely dedicated to it, named Next Goal Wins, was released in 2014. 2. Micronesia. But alas, American Samoa's Aussie annihilation is nothing compared to the embarrassment Micronesia faced in 2015. Despite turning up in Papua New Guinea as the clear underdogs in the Pacific Games, the small island national team could not possibly have known what was coming. They went down 38-0 to Fiji, who were 195th in the FIFA World Rankings at the time, and then went one worse with a 46-0 drubbing at the hands of Vanuatu, who were all the way down in 200th. Absolutely shameful. Put together with a 30-0 defeat against Tahiti, Micronesia's atrocious record in the tournament stood at 0 goals scored and 114 conceded over a total of just 3 games. One journalist's comment was priceless, as he stated that it wasn't even a team of footballers, just a squad of normal blokes. And he also claimed that the Micronesia goalkeeper had stood between the sticks for the first time just 3 weeks earlier. On this evidence, you've got to say he was spot on. 1. Ibish Sport Club. At number 1, we have an abomination from the world's greatest footballing nation. Brazilian club Ibish Sport Club set the bar for on-the-field failure to a new low during the 1970s and 80s, earning themselves the infamous nickname Pior Time do Mundo, translating as worst team in the world. Brutal. The club from Pernambuco failed to win a single game over the course of 2 separate seasons in 1978 and 1979, and broke their atrocious streak with a 1-0 victory over Ferroviario in 1980. But that would prove to be a false dawn, as what came next was truly crushing. Ibish then embarked on another historic winless streak, this time stretching for 4 excruciating years. To make things even worse, they could only manage a total of 7 draws in that time, losing an appalling 48 games. Since their formation in 1938, the Brazilian club have conceded over 3,000 goals. But on the upside, their infamous nickname has granted them a worldwide following. After all, we do all love an underdog. They also proved they had a sense of humour back in 2015, when following Jose Mourinho's sacking from Chelsea, they penned a letter to the Portuguese coach in an attempt to lure him to the club. Ibish, you get our seal of disapproval as the worst football team ever.
So we hope you enjoyed that, and if you want to check out more of our videos, then click here on screen. Don't forget to like and subscribe and get on our Snapchat and our Twitter.